Well, for a long time now, I have basically said, look, Reform might be polling well, but you got to remember the next general election is going to be in 2029. That's a long, long, long time for Nigel Farage to try and maintain such a big poll lead. And he was polling at like 12 points ahead, of course, of Labour. But as I always pointed out, here's the thing. Have a look at some of the by-elections, the way that they ran, of course, in the May local elections. In fact, let's look at that. How did they do so well in the May local elections? Well, that was because, as I said, when I was talking to a lot of people in doing the groundwork, they were coming back and saying, well, when we've spoken to some of these people, these reform councillors are telling them that if you vote for us, we will undo the winter fuel allowance. Because that was the whole, if you remember, the whole big conundrum round about that time. And of course, who is more likely to vote in a election like that? Well, of course, it's the OAPs and pensioners. If you really dig into the data, turnout for people of that age range was quite high. In fact, it was like 71%, 71, 72. Quite high. Gee, I wonder why Reform UK did so well at those elections. But since then, and since those May elections, given a party that is meant to have such an astronomical poll lead, they weren't really performing how you would expect a party to perform with such a big poll lead. They weren't winning these by-elections. In some cases, where they'd lost these councillors, they'd actually then lose to either the Lib Dems or Labour, because those were parties who would actually beat them. So even though we've had so many by-elections since those May local elections, they have not performed. They have hugely, hugely underperformed. So that says a lot about maybe all that stuff was built on sand. And I know a lot of people saying, "Oh, you don't know, that's crazy, that's insane. Look how well they did." We've got another election in May. Do I think Reform UK are going to pick up some seats? Oh, absolutely. I have no doubt they're going to pick up a few more councils as well. But as I've said, I am going to be very interested to see what happens around some of these councils that have a Reform council next door. And we've been covering the chaos that these Reform UK councils have made. And as we've seen from people who have been talked to and interviewed by who live in those areas, we've even had people in the comments say that they regret voting for Reform, that they are terrified by what is happening now to their local area, that these Reform people are in charge. And remember, it's December 1st at the time I do this video, right? That means it's budget season. And already, people are already calling out Reform UK for breaking their promises, because they promised at the May local elections they will not raise council tax. How on earth are they going to be able to run on that at next May's election, when you've got every single Reform council who ran on that promise breaking that? Not only that, but they are going through the ringer on some of this budget stuff. And this is all going to come out through December, January, February. It's going to be some stuff. But if you want even further proof, just look at some of these polls. And of course, this is in the response to the whole Nathan Gill stuff. There's a whole racism stuff and allegations, once again, coming out about Farage. So here's the thing. Election maps via Survation. Reform -5 at 29. Other parties, again, picking up steam. Labour, 22, stable on that one. Here we have another one. BMG, Reform UK, -5. Labour up 2% on that one. Conservatives up 3%. YouGov, Reform UK down 2%. Conservatives up 1%. Labour stable on 19. Lib Dems up 2% there. Those polls do not look good. Those polls do not look good because all this stuff, though the Nathan Gill stuff has put Farage on the back foot. He's not liked having to answer those types of questions. It made him look really foolish. The whole racism stuff that is again coming out doesn't make him look too good either. Then, of course, you've got this that's been doing the rounds. Call to have now a public inquiry into the Russia interference on UK politics and democracy. As you can see, this is live. 108,000 signatures. Not only will the government again respond to this petition, but there is now going to be a debate about this in Parliament. Gee, I wonder if any Reform UK members are going to turn up to that debate. Especially now, as it looks like there's another UKIP MEP that might also be getting wrapped up in this, especially post the Nathan Gill stuff. So it does look like things are not looking good. And then, of course, if you want to look at by-election stuff, this happened recently, which did not get a lot of media attention because, of course, it's Labour. In fact, no one likes to talk about Labour when they do things good. But here you are. Labour councillor wins in Colchester in a by-election, turnout with 24%. He won on 800 votes. This was a seat where a couple of weeks ago, Reform UK was saying, we're going to see, we're going to win this. We're going to go and take Colchester. But you look at the polls we saw there. Yes, they've had a tumble in the polls. But for a party polling that big, and I will keep on saying this, for a party that polls that big, they have a huge underperformance when it comes to by-elections, which you should not be seeing. You should not be seeing that for a party that is polling that big. Remember, in the run-up to the 2024 general election, what we were seeing the start of the absolute conservative crumble. How we were seeing that, how we were predicting that, by-elections. And we were seeing Labour winning, Lib Dems winning, constantly in those by-elections. So the next May local elections could be very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. And when you hear further stories, the fact that Reform UK don't seem to have any ground game, the fact that you've got all this other stuff now going on, the Nathan Gill stuff, this Russia stuff is going to rumble on. If that public inquiry starts, God, I hope it does. That will be hilarious to see them fight back against that, because Farage's name, UKIP, Brexit Party, will be all over it. It all goes back to what I said. I've said this for a long time. The next election, a couple of years away, do you really think Farage is going to be able to maintain these very high poll leads? But then, even when you look at his poll leads and you look at by-elections on a turnout, again, of 24% in that Colchester one I just showed you, with the Labour guy won on 800 votes, with Reform UK coming in third. Yeah, not second, third. it seems a lot of this stuff might be built on sand. Now, that's no reason, of course, to rest on your laurels. I want to point that out. No reason to rest on your laurels at all, by any means. Make sure you're registered to vote at the next, May local elections by all means, and get out there. You know, join your local party, do your leafleting, do your doorstepping, etc., etc. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the results of the May local elections do look like, especially when we will have gone through a lot of the budget stuff. You'll have more chaos from these reform councils. And if they do happen to take control of more councils, all we're going to see is just yet more chaos. Look at the stuff we've covered in Doncaster, where they're not even in charge because, of course, they lost the mayoral race. The entire party's fallen to pieces. And they're not the only party to do that we've covered, going from Kent to Cornwall, Northumberland. And those are like the major ones. There are several smaller ones that's happened that have not gotten major media attention, like in not in Warrington over the Pennines in Manchester way. Entire party just got deleted from existence because they lost control of it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens, but don't worry, we'll be here to cover it. So as always, let me know what you think down below. Click the like and share button. Don't forget to ring the bell. And of course, as always, I'll see you all next time.